I'm back. I'm biased, I'm bothered, and I am always unfiltered. If you are easily offended, this is not the place for you. You still haven't managed to worthy up. Not to worry, let's get into this mess. Alright, lads, welcome back to the Always Unfiltered podcast. It's Trashy Tuesday, everybody's favourite day of the week. So it is, of course, time for book club. We are on chapter 9 of Becoming Sister Wives, but we have actually entered a new part of this book. This is called Family, and Family, and we are hearing from Meri. So Meri continues. People always ask us if we have a system for running our family, especially for raising our kids. Every time we seem to get some sort of system in place, things change. We move, we change jobs, our kids grow up, and the whole thing reinvents itself. One of the biggest challenges we faced in figuring out how polygamy would work for us was learning how each wife would maintain her own autonomy while being an important part of the family. When Janelle and Cody first married, the three of us shared a bank account. Oh, this could get interesting. It wasn't long before we learned that this wasn't an ideal situation. For anyone, money is a tricky subject. Our situation was particularly delicate since we were all new to polygamy. Our joint bank account. I wonder what bank these people use. I'd like to know that. Our joint bank account was definitely a big part of the struggles we had as a new plural family. When it was just Cody and me, we shared a bank account. Bank account, bank account, bank account. All purchases came out of this account, and we all paid all the bills from this account. This is a New York Times bestseller, by the way, just in case you had forgotten. Since it was just the two of us, it was easy to know what we needed and what finances we had available to us. It was comfortable for the two of us to both use the same account. We would talk about what bills needed to be paid and what purchases we wanted to make. Well, no shit, Mary, that's right. Welcome to the world. Welcome to being an adult, either individually or as a household. Although we both had access to the account and Cody took some part in it, I usually paid the bills each month. When Janelle came into the family, we added her to the bank account because she had a very stable job. Sorry, I added that bit, but come on. I don't think any of us really thought about how this would affect us as a whole. Even back then, we would all discuss what the income was each month and what needed to be paid. We worked out a budget for the family, including a grocery budget, a budget for the bills, and our own personal spending money. Well, hang on a second, they're including a grocery budget, but you remember in Janelle's part, she told us that she was just in her room. So I think her food would have just been, like in a vanity fridge, she just would have had like a few pizzas or something in there. Anyway, Mary continues. We were young and new in our jobs and careers, so there wasn't usually an abundance of spending money. We'd have to save up if we wanted something special. Cody was in sales. So there were times when he would have a particularly good month and we could put that extra money into either paying down a bill or towards something we had been saving for. While the three of us always discussed where the money would go each month, I was still usually the one who actually paid the bills and divided up the budget. Why? Because Janelle is the one with the full-time job. She's the one with the best job. So she was the one earning the bulk of the money. Also, I think Janelle is a lot more suited to doing all the bills. So I don't know why Mary was doing it. Move over, Mary. We have an accountant here. Anyway, she's going on. At the time, I saw no problem in this, only to realize later that Janelle felt that I was controlling the finances. No shit, she's the one working, Mary. In my mind, since we had all discussed it as a family, I was only executing the decision that the three of us had already made. I realize now how detrimental that had been to my relationship with Janelle. Looking back, I don't remember when we actually decided to get our own bank accounts. That's a pity, isn't it? It's a pity they didn't all stay like sharing the money. That would have been fun to find out more about it. I don't remember when we actually decided, oh yeah, to get our own bank accounts. I can only assume that one or all of us discovered that having only the one bank account didn't give each of us, including Cody, our own autonomy, which is very important in a family structure like ours. When we got our bank accounts, I'm getting bored already, lads. Janelle and I were able to start creating our own autonomy. We didn't have to check in with each other about our spending. Well, you are all grown adults. We didn't have to be concerned about whether the other would disapprove of a particular purchase. We could handle our financial affairs as we liked and feel that we were individuals who contributed to the same family. But you didn't work, Mary, or at least you didn't, like, she didn't never worked a full time job. Janelle always worked a full time job. I think Cody was only kind of farting around, you know. If he could sell something, he would, but he wasn't too pushed about it. He knew Janelle was going to pick up the slack. Anyway, she's continuing. Ever since we made this decision, Janelle and I, oh, and in parentheses, and subsequently the other sister wives, in parentheses, have kept our finances separate. Oh, this might get interesting now again, because perhaps we'll hear a bit more about Robin. Did she have a bank account or did she just take from theirs? I hope we find out. As our family has grown, the way we handle our finances continues to evolve straight into Robin Brown's bank account or her pocket. Well, definitely her walls anyway. I've seen the artwork. Sorry, I did add that bit. The most effective way we have found to manage our money thus far is for each of us to take ownership of certain family bills, whether it's the mortgage, the cell phone bill, or a car payment. There's no way Janelle Brown has a car payment. Not a feckin' chance. I've seen that car with the sellotape on the window. God, I hope that's not a car payment car. Anyway, even though the bills we pay may not be technically in our own name, we divide them based on each person's income level. Having a large family as we do, there are often major expenses. There have been times for each of us when we needed help from the family as a group to take care of a certain issue. Usually, if a wife needs help with something, she will talk to Cody about it. Many times, Cody's help is all that's needed. You know, he has to have the final say on anything that's got to do with money. Anyway, there have been times, however, when we will go to another wife or wives to see who is financially able to pool resources and get a particularly tight financial situation taken care of. I remember one time years ago when the transmission went out in my car. Oh God, these people. We all knew it was important to have a working vehicle, so we pulled together to get it taken care of. I wonder what type of car this was. Anyway, most of his married life, Cody has been a salesman. As most people know, in this line of work, you can have very good months or very bad months. When he has months that are not so good, we all contribute to get the mortgage paid. On the other hand, when he has a good month and ends up with some unexpected cash in his wallet, we can either play catch up from the bad months, or he has been known to use some of it for something fun, maybe a special trip with a wife and their kids. This sounds like very bad finances. It really does. Like, put that money aside because you never know what's going to happen. Like Mary's transmission in our car, you know, you have to always have some kind of emergency money. Anyway, our first commitment is always to the family. However, as the kids have grown older and we've moved into separate households, we've begun to live a little more independently from one another. We look after our own kids, our own homes, and take care of our business in our own way. But this wasn't always the case. When our oldest kids were young, Janelle worked full time and Christine worked part time, so that for the majority of the day, I was a stay at home mom. Why? Why on earth? Because Christine did work part time, okay, but Christine always took care of the children. She was the mother to all of these children. So I'm pretty sure Mary could have got out for hours and got a job, you know. Anyway, she continues. In a lot of areas, I'm a lot more particular about certain things than my sister wives are. I tend to like a little more order and quiet, and I have clear ideas about how and when, oh Jesus, to discipline the kids. My parents, I will say, okay, they're very easygoing. This would not go down well in my family at all. You know, like an adult doing this to us, no, they just wouldn't allow it. Anyway, I really struggle when I see the kids being disrespectful to their parents. It has always been very important to me that our children grow up with a strong sense of respect for both people and things. Now, I do notice that she doesn't rate dogs, so we're not respecting animals here. That does not surprise me because do you remember they brought poor Drake out to see the vet? And Cody Brown was digging that dog's grave before the vet had even come to see him. Ah, R.I.P. Goodbye, Drake. Anyway, where is she? All right. When the kids were young, I tried very hard to instill this in them. I wanted them to respect one another by playing nicely together and getting along. Mary, wake the fuck up. We're in the real world here. I wanted them to respect their parents by being obedient. I do not appreciate that word, by the way, and not talking back when asked to do something. In parentheses, when I see one of our children do this, it sure gets my Irish up. Oh, is she Irish? Is Mary Brown Irish in the same way that Cody Brown is Jewish? Is Mary a plastic baddie? I'd love to know more. Perhaps we will find out. Anyway, I also think it's necessary for our children to respect things. This could be each other's ties, their private space. And yes, this could also be furniture. I'm the type of mom who doesn't allow jumping on the furniture. I'm not surprised by Mary being a bitch. I'll be honest. I know I've not always been looked too highly upon by some of my sister wives because this makes me seem too strict. But my furniture has definitely outlived some of theirs. I'm not surprised, Mary. They have a dozen children. A bit different to having one child, you know? Like, come on, you have to be realistic here. And you know what Janelle Brown was like? I mean, we have seen that leather sofa. That thing was beat as shit, but the woman wasn't going out like and just replacing it because she knew she had a load of buyers. They were gonna wreck it. She was like, I will wait. I will replace it. Like when we literally can't sit on it anymore. Anyway, Mary is continuing. I remember a time years ago when Cody was sort of getting after me because he didn't want the kids to feel like they were walking into a museum when they came to my house. I think, however, that he has mellowed somewhat about that opinion. He hasn't. He hasn't, Mary. He's just stopped talking to you. And you know what? I can't even blame the guy. I wouldn't be able to listen to this shit either. Because, like, she has decided that she wants all of these kids, but they're not allowed to move by the sounds of it when they get to her part of the house. Anyway, she continues. Right, so he's changed his opinion. As he has seen my household furniture last longer than that of my sister wives. Again, a dozen children versus one children. Huge difference, Mary. Right. Over the years, I have also learned to relax when it comes to the way the kids act in my home. While I still expect them to treat me and my space with respect and not like wild animals running through the house. Feckin' hell, Marty. No wonder these kids hate you. It doesn't sound like you are very nice to them, and you're not even speaking very nicely about them. Right, so she is continuing. I have become more patient when they do. Oh, so when they do run around like wild animals, Mary is saying that she is a bit patient. Okay. Back then, I took charge of most of the daycare in our family. That's terrifying. I was comfortable, oh Jesus, disciplining all the children, whether Christine's, Janelle's, or mine. Of course, this was easier when the kids were small and their transgressions were fairly innocent and they couldn't fight back. I added that bit. After all, I was the only mother home with anywhere between 4 and 9 kids, depending on the year. If I hadn't felt comfortable disciplining them, the house would have been utter chaos. I don't like this. Anyway, years ago, when we lived in northern Wyoming, When Janelle worked full time and Christine and I were working part time, we adjusted our schedules so that one of us would always be home with the kids all the time. This was a particularly good time for our family. We had discovered that it was best for the three of us wives to have our own homes. Well, that's good because I'm worried for these children if you're looking after them. So we all gained a bit more autonomy and freedom and could raise our children as we wished. While we all have the same basic goals and expectations for our children, we have a different way of handling our home life and structure. Having our own homes allowed us to interact with our children comfortably and freely without having to wonder no without having to worry about if another mom was questioning the way something was being handled. I don't know why that sentence was written like that, but I do feel the need to read it out the way it's printed in front of me. Right, she's continuing. Christine and I had our homes on 2.5 acres out in the country, and Janelle had purchased a home in town about 15 minutes away. She brought her kids over to our house every day while she worked, so the kids were together all the time. They were one another's best friends. They were constantly building, playing, and creating in our yard. I don't care about any of this. That's what kids do all the time. There was so much space to run and play. They created Kids Town, which consisted of old blankets, boards, and lumber, anything they could find to make stores, post offices, and houses. Yeah, like we all did when we were kids, Mary. Get to the good shit. I feel like Mary has a word count as well that she has to fill. Oh, God. Anyway, they spent many hours in Kidstown. I'm not surprised. They probably want to get away from you. Since Christine and I lived so close together, we could pop back and forth between our houses with little effort. All the kids knew they were welcome in either home at any time. I don't think the kids knew that, Mary. You've just told me you're a bitch to them. It was an unwritten rule that whichever mom was at home with the kids could use her best judgment on the discipline needed for individual situations. We were all pretty comfortable with this. But okay, well, hang on, we were all pretty comfortable with this. That's telling me, okay, that we weren't comfortable. Because you can't be pretty comfortable with something like that. You have either decided, okay, this is what we're doing, or you have decided, no, I'm not happy with that. So I'm taking pretty comfortable to me, and Mary was pretty comfortable with it, but the other mothers were not. Anyway, she continues. But occasionally we disagreed. See, I fucking knew it. In one instance, I was at work and Leon needed to be disciplined. So Christine handled it. I feel like Mary is trying to walk something back here. We'll find out maybe. When I heard about it later, I was fine with the fact that Christine addressed the problem, but disagreed with the way she punished Leon. I felt it was inappropriate and a little extreme. We discussed the issue, and while she might disagree with my opinions on discipline, she was very respectful of my feelings. Leon is 16 now, so discipline is somewhat a thing of the past in my house. When the kids were younger and I had a more active role in their day to day parenting, I would choose a punishment to fit the situation. Oh, this sounds very, very icky to me. If a child hit another child with a tie, he didn't get to play with that tie anymore. If a child didn't clean up his or her room, he or she didn't get to play outside with the other kids until it was done. I never disciplined the kids if I didn't think they could understand how to correct their behaviour, so I just beat the shit out of them. I did add that bit, and I felt like it needed to be said because I have heard how the older kids now talk about Mary, and I'm pretty sure they don't like her. Anyway, she goes on. As the kids have grown older, however, I've taken a backseat in affairs that don't concern my own child directly. I realise that my sister wives and I have different ideas about what is a punishable offence and what isn't. I also realised that the other moms need a space and freedom to do their own thing in their own way. Yeah, like normal people, they're just going to ignore, like, the small little things. They're just going to ignore it, Hopefully the kids will shut up in a little while or just send them out to play. But it sounds like Mary was on these kids' back all the fucking time. Anyway, she continues. Of course, I can't always ignore it when the kids do something wrong. See what I mean? Like she just can't let these kids have a break. As recently as this summer, I felt I had to step in and correct a situation that had gone on too long and needed to change. Ever since Robin joined the family, we've been dealing with a typical blended family scenario. Several of Christine and Janelle's kids hadn't been acting like they wanted to accept Robin as a parent. That's because they didn't marry. Or accept her kids as their siblings. Again, that's because they didn't. They've enough siblings and they've enough parents. I understand that this is a problem many other families face. Yet I know it is still a difficult on the kids. Several of the adults began to notice that some of the younger teenage, well, hang on, several of the adults. So I'm guessing Mary and Robin. All right, several of the adults began to notice that some of the younger teenage boys were picking on Robin's brats. Now, this could have just been seen as Big Brother's typical treatment of little sisters. Well, obviously, because you told us that these kids were always killing each other. And if you want Robin's brats to be part of this family, they're going to have to toughen up a little bit. Anyway, she continues. But I think if it's bothering the girls, it shouldn't be allowed to continue. But Mary, you cannot have one rule for one set of kids and another rule for another set. Like, we all have to be part of a family, so we all have to have the same rules. You're going to get beaten up. Like, that's just how the world is. That's how the Brown family kids are. Anyway, it had gone on too long, and in my opinion, nothing was being done to change it. But none of these are your children, Mary. Like, literally none of them. On a camping trip, things became too aggressive for me to brush aside any longer. I know, I remember the episode, and Mary made a fool of herself by screaming at all of these kids in front of the camera. And like the other mothers, like she was saying, back me up, and the other mothers were looking at her thinking, are you going through menopause or something? Are you having a breakdown? Because you look like a fucking imbecile just screaming at all of these children in front of a camera. Anyway, a few of the boys were picking on one of the little girls and making her cry. She's always fucking crying. She's talking about Rara or Brianna, one of them. They're always crying. I had enough of it. I got after the kids, telling them they'd better shape up. Shit, now I'm singing Grease in my head. And start treating one another with more respect. I told them that Robin's kids are their siblings, whether they like it or not. Well, they don't like it. I'm pretty sure they don't like it, and they better start treating them like it. But they are. They're treating Robin's kids the way they treat their own brothers and sisters. I have seen, right? I've seen Gabe and Garrison. I've seen these two stomping on each other, like stomping on each other's heads. I've seen them busting each other's nose. That's how these kids play. So, you're joining the family. Welcome to the party. Oh, anyway, right, she's continuing. As I was speaking, I noticed that Janelle and Christine just stood there and didn't say anything to back me up. I remember it. I felt betrayed by their lack of support. I felt strongly that the adults in the family must show a united front to the children, not if you're acting like a crazy person, Mary. And you most definitely were. So they know we are all in this together and we will support one another's decisions. I think it is very detrimental to let children think they can play one parent against another. But not all the wives felt this way. In fact, later on, Christine told me she thought I was completely out of line for speaking my mind at the moment. I just want to go back to something. Do you remember she was talking about Christine and Leon? Like Leon did something, Christine corrected her. She put that in there, okay, because she knew that she was going to tell us this. Also, I don't need to be told this because I have watched the show. I want to know who's banging, who's not banging, where you're banging, how you're banging. Tell me about the money, the finances, and the fights. I'm not interested in all of this crap, but we will continue. My form of parenting is to take care of things immediately when the transgression is fresh in the children's minds, so they can understand why they are being disciplined. Therefore, I jumped in when I did and talked to the kids about their behaviour. Christine would have preferred to wait until later and talk to the kids individually. That would make more sense, most definitely. I'm sure there are pros and cons for each approach. I don't see the pro of Mary's approach though. Like I really don't, you know. It just made her look like a lunatic, and it also brought attention to the fact that Robin's brats are complete and utter whingers who were really not suitable for being part of a very large family, you know. Anyway, where am I? Right. This was just one of those times that we needed to remember to be patient and forgiving with one another. Deep down, we're all working toward the same goal: a happy, healthy, and orderly family. Obviously, as our children have grown up, one of the major questions in our household has to do with dating. When the kids were little, the adults always said that they would be allowed to date at 16. But now that this time has come for many of the kids, we parents have realized that things are not so black and white. We often don't agree with the children or with one another on what constitutes a date. Is it a group of kids hanging out together? Question mark. When two kids are hanging out one on one? Question mark. Or just when there's a romantic interest involved? Question mark. I feel that some of our kids are mature enough to handle themselves on a date. I don't like this. We need to get on board with the same thing, okay? It's either one age or it's not, but it can't be a certain age for some of the kids and a certain age for another group of the kids. That's not fair, and I don't like it. I like everything to be fair and across the board. So that everybody knows where they stand. Anyway, she continues, I feel that some of our kids are mature enough to handle themselves on a date, while others might take a few more liberties than I would prefer. She talking about Gwendolyn here. Gwendolyn and McKelty, maybe. We have to figure out a fair way to permit one child to do something another one cannot. Again, that's not fair and I don't like it. Something that is difficult for any parent with children of any age. As far as dating goes, I stand by my opinion that the kid should be at least 16. Well, okay, then that means all the kids. You know, you can't just pick and choose. I don't think dating is necessarily any younger than that. It just sets them up for mistakes or heartbreak. Before 16, kids don't have the fortitude to deal with emotional and romantic situations like I do when I get on the internet and I find myself a catfish called Samuel Jacob Cooper. Oh, I really do miss Sam. Now, lads, an update on our friendship, okay? I know I want to be his bestie for the restie, but I had to leave Twitter. I can't handle it. It is an absolute and utter cesspit. But I am still holding out hope that we may connect at some point in our lives. But if you know of any other way I can contact Samuel Jacob Cooper, let me know, because I really feel like he can be my best friend. I'm not interested in Jackie, although I will talk to her too, but I'm definitely interested in Sam. I'm gonna have to read that book again, just because I miss him so much. Anyway, Mary continues. As far as kissing, I think young people should really hold off until they find somebody very special at an older and much more mature age. Kissing can lead to things that teenagers shouldn't get into and definitely don't have the maturity to handle. I'm in a fortunate position with Leon when it comes to dating because my child is better than everybody else's. While they have shown interest in young men, I don't think so, Mary. And they look forward to dating in the future. They are committed to remaining in our faith and living our plural lifestyle. With this belief comes their commitment to remaining virtuous and chaste until marriage. Well, don't hold your breath, love, because that's not going to happen. They have high expectations and standards for themselves concerning dating, kissing, and intimacy. and Leon has every intention of living up to them. Leon plans to finish high school, go on to college, and work toward their dream of becoming a doctor. And they have said many times that they do not intend to get married until they've gone through at least a few years of college. I look forward to seeing Leon achieve those dreams. I expect Leon will have their share of dating and heartbreak. They won't actually, because they meet Audrey like fairly soon. As soon as they go to college, actually they meet Audrey, and I believe Audrey is Leon's soulmate. I really like Audrey, and I find Leon an awful lot easier to deal with when when they get their shit together. They meet Audrey and they're happy. Anyway, Mary continues, but I also know how stubborn Leon can be, and that Leon will live up to their own high standards. Cody and I have talked many times about their passion and commitment to our faith, and are very proud of the path Leon is pursuing. In a lot of ways, I feel as if I have had it easier with Leon's choices than some of my sister wives have had with their children. I have been absolutely blessed with Leon in so many ways. Leon and I have always had a special bond, and I am gonna absolutely and utterly destroy that because I'm gonna get catfished online, and my child is going to hear me doing all the things in the room next door. Oh, anyway, lads, we are gonna leave Mary there because your girl is getting bored, and I don't do well when I'm bored. But in fairness, I don't expect much from the Brown family. But when you stick New York Times #1 bestseller, I am expecting a little bit more than Mary just waffling on and trying to walk back that she was an absolute another bitch to the Brown children. Anyway, lads, that is our video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, go ahead and hit subscribe. Lads, I want to thank you all very much for the hypes and the likes and the shares. And I also want to say a big thank you and a shout out to my family REIT, the channel members. We have Lindsay, Linda, Donna, DeChris, Joe Bear, Kimberly, Wendy, Vanessa, Scarlett, Jen, Nadia, Ticey, Helgi, Tina, and Danny. Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Lads, I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, if nobody else tells you this, remember that I love you long time. Slán.